Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about how much money you're going to need for everything in the newest update that's going to be arriving in Grand Theft Auto Online soon, and that is Smuggler's Run. So I do this with every DLC to hopefully give you guys a better idea at how much money you're going to need for everything, and unfortunately, Rockstar didn't give us a lot of time to get our wallets ready for this update, and I actually think it's going to be one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive DLC we've ever seen. So get yourself ready. Now, when this update does release, I will be doing a shark card giveaway. It might be a pretty big one too. It might be an $8 million one. So stay tuned for that. I'll be announcing that on my Twitter if indeed I do end up deciding to do that. But let's start with the biggest items first and work our way down to the smallest items. So probably the first big thing that Rockstar mentioned was new properties. So just like with a lot of the other business style updates like finance and felony, import, export, gun running, we're going to have to buy a new property. And this is going to come in the form of an expansive aircraft hangar. Now, from what we've seen in the trailer and in some of the screenshots, they almost look like they're going to function as a multi-purpose, a vehicle storage facility, as well as a place in which we store all our smuggled or stolen goods. So it kind of reminds me of the import-export warehouses and the finance and felony warehouses combined. So I think that they are going to be pretty pricey. If I had to take a guess, I'm going to say anywhere from $1 million to $4 million is going to be the price range of these hangars. I mean, just look how massive they are. You can see from the screenshots that they look like they're actual physical buildings. They're not like underground like the bunkers are. And they look pretty expansive with like massive office spaces and multiple stories. So I can see these things being pretty pricey when it's all said and done. And I would imagine, just like the bunkers, just like the CEO offices, there's going to be a good level of customization and extra features we can add. So I'm going to say at a minimum, you'll do $1 million worth of upgrades, bringing our total price on these aircraft hangars anywhere from $2 million to $5 million when it's all said and done. Now, you're going to need to fill your aircraft hangar with a bunch of vehicles, and let's talk about those right now. So I'm not going to be going into the specific price of every single vehicle because I think that's, number one, too difficult to try and formulate, but also number two, I did a dedicated video to the specifics of the vehicles, their real-life equivalents, maybe some of the features they might have in a video I did yesterday. So I'll leave a link to that in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. But anyways, there are 12 confirmed aircrafts that I saw, and then one confirmed land vehicle that I've seen as well, and then one exotic supercar that we can't confirm or deny yet. So we'll kind of touch on that as we get a little bit later on. So let's start with the airplanes first. There's 12 of them. Now, there's big planes, there's small planes, there's micro planes, there's cargo style planes. So it's kind of tough to break down how expensive each one of these are because something like a Mallard stunt plane is going to be in the low hundreds of thousands of dollars, whereas something like the Hydra, a fighter jet, is going to be closer to $3 million. So I'm going to say that each of these new vehicles will be anywhere between $1 million to $3 million respectively. And if we have 12 vehicles, that means our price range is going to be anywhere from $12 million to $36 million. However, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because we know not every aircraft is going to be $1 million, and we know not every aircraft is going to be $3 million. So I say we meet somewhere in the middle. I think that the total cost of all the aircrafts is going to be probably $22 to $28 million. And that's not out of the realm of craziness here because if we go back to some of the previous DLCs that Rockstar have done, Finance and Felony, they added 12 vehicles, and I think it costed around, $15 million. Import-Export had 12 vehicles as well, but it did have some expensive cars like the Rocket Voltic and Ruiner 2000. So I think the total price was around $30 million for that update. And Gun Running had 13 vehicles, and it had some pretty pricey ones too, like the MOC and some of the weaponized ones. So I think that total was around $25 million. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibility that just the vehicles alone here would cost $22 to $28 million. And that does not include our two land vehicles. So one of the confirmed vehicles is a Ford Escort. So that was actually found on the artwork. Now, I can't see this one being over $1 million, given that it's likely either a muscle car or a sports classic, something along those lines. So I would say that it's probably somewhere around $1 million when it's all said and done. And then we have this rumored supercar that looks very, very realistic, but no one has been able to confirm or deny it yet. And I believe this is based off of a McLaren. Now, I think it's based off of the 570S, which is kind of like the baby McLaren P1, which we already have in the game. We have the McLaren P1, F1. We have some variation of a McLaren in the Italy GTB. So this one as the 570S would make sense. And since it's a supercar, I would imagine it would probably be multiple millions of dollars, probably somewhere up to $2 million. So I say when it's all said and done, when we have the 12 aircrafts, when we have the Ford Escort and the rumored McLaren, that really puts us at about $30 million for our vehicle total. And that doesn't include any of the customization. You guys have seen throughout the trailers and the screenshots, all the different aircrafts have different liveries. They seem to have different paint jobs on there, customization. I'm sure there's features you can add or take away. So I don't think it's outrageous to add another maybe $3 to $5 million that you'll spend upgrading and customizing these vehicles and getting them ready to take out on missions and to use in free mode. So I think our grand total for all of our 13 confirmed vehicles so far and our one rumored one, all the customization is going to be around $35 million. Now, another thing I want to bring up is there's a good chance that Rockstar could introduce older vehicles that we already have in the game to be upgradable options in our hangar. So, for example, in one of the cutscenes, we saw a black cargo bob. We also saw the Luxor Deluxe and the Titan sitting in there. Are those older vehicles that we could have already owned that'll have the chance to be upgraded too? I guess really time will only tell, but there is a good chance that that could be the case too, that some older vehicles will have the ability to be brought inside this hangar and be upgraded as well, which once again could only increase the price of the DLC in terms of the total amount of money you're going to be spending. Now, whenever I do videos like this, I try to be overly pessimistic in terms of how expensive things are because I'd always rather you guys be more prepared than less prepared. If you go into this update and you have more money than needed, then that's just a good thing. You've got extra money. But if you have less money than you need and you can't buy all the cool items that your friends have, well, that's a bummer. And that's obviously something you never want. So I always try and shoot for a little bit more expensive here than a little bit less expensive. But that right there should cover all the vehicles. As far as weapons go, I didn't see any new ones. There might be new weapons for the aircrafts, but I feel like that falls under customization. Clothing, we haven't seen a lot of. There was a couple of items of clothing that I saw, like the new night vision goggles, helmet combination. That seems pretty cool. There looks to be a couple of variations of new flight suits and military gear, and I'm sure there'll be some new SecuroServe clothing too. There look to be new balaclavas, new tattoos. So I'm going to say there might be a $500,000 to maybe $1 million that you could potentially spend on clothing. I actually don't think it's going to be a huge part of this update, especially given how much we got with the gun running update. And other than that, it seems like this is going to be a pretty simple DLC that isn't going to add a whole lot more into the game. They mentioned that we're going to be getting a new mechanic, Charlie. I'm sure that he might take a fee for every vehicle he upgrades, or just like the other mechanic fees in the game, we might be billed daily or something along those lines. And I'm sure there might be some new accessories, as I mentioned, tattoos, masks, haircuts, stuff like that. That would be really cool. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm sure there's going to be tons of little different things we can do inside of our aircraft hangars, like maybe upgrading the security, things like we see with the bunkers, or doing the equipment upgrade or the staff upgrade. I think it's really going to depend on how much detail Rockstar want to go into with this update. So now let's come to a grand total. Really, our big three here is going to be the hangar, the vehicles, and then sort of the miscellaneous things like clothing, accessories, and more. So the hangars is going to be anywhere from $2 million to $5 million. That's my prediction. I think our vehicle total is going to be anywhere from $25 to $35 million. That includes customization. And then I would say roughly around $1 million for everything else: haircuts, tattoos, clothing, accessories. So if we add our total up there, on the low end, it's roughly going to be around $27 to $28 million. And then on the higher end, it's going to be closer to around $39 to $40 million if you want to buy everything. And once again, that is the price if you want to buy everything. And that is also my overly pessimistic, expensive price. I know most people will just pick out 1 or 2 or 3 vehicles that they really enjoy and then customize them and stick with that. They might get the cheapest bunker, and they could easily spend less than $10 million on this update. But I also know on the other side of the spectrum, there's a ton of people that want everything. They want to collect all the items, have all the best upgrades, etc. And this video can kind of be used as both. It might be able to give you a good idea at how expensive some of the planes are going to be, and then obviously your grand total at the end. And there's always a good chance that Rockstar add more. Like I said, we've only gotten really 2 screenshots and a trailer, which did show off a lot, but it could not be everything. There could be stuff hidden within the files of the game. And also, that amount might not make sense at the very beginning of the DLC when it's launched on Tuesday, because I'm sure a good majority of the content we saw will be held in drip fed, and that'll be released week after week after week. Now, I'm also not going to be including the rest of the newswire, the stuff that said like coming this fall, transform races, because that mentioned vehicles, holiday celebrations, and stuff like that. I don't know if that's coming with Smuggler's Run, or if that's going to be a completely separate update. So just to stay away from the confusion, because obviously we don't know what's coming with a Halloween or December update, I'm going to save that for another time, and we're just going to stick with Smuggler's Run for now. But anyways, that's all the information that I'm going to be talking about for you guys in this video today. How much money you're going to need for all the new items, vehicles, aircraft hangars, and more in the Smuggler's Run update that will be coming soon to online. If you did go and enjoy this video, though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.